Okay, colleagues, and our first step when we talk about negation, the unity of negation and affirmation, or more correctly, we can say statement. Yes. Uh, the main idea consists in what? When we negate something in the same moment, by that, we state something. We give something new by the negation another. It's a unity to these processes. Usually we think that it is something different. When I talk that something absent, it's not mean that's present something another. But according with the dialectic, it is so. It is very important held in one moment because only by these we can uh, we can lose our moment, for example, of manipulation in our communication. We can miss our situation when we have abstract way of thinking. Abstract, I mean that we hold one side without understanding, and that's why hold another in focus of our understanding. It is game with our mind, but nevertheless, only because we distinguish and separate to this moment one in dialectic, we must hold in one. Okay, for example, if we talk about criticizing, yes, situation of communication, how would work here? We usually talk so. If you criticize something, in the same moment you must offer something another. Yes, it's very simple, but usually, why we so often want and use the position of critic? Because when a critic, I talk about another, about a problem of somebody else, not about mine. And when I critique it, I talk about this problem and not talk about something positive. It's mean that I right, you not right. I good, you bad. It's held in our mind and in our soul. It is very comfortable position. That's why we want and try to critique another. Yes, and it's mean that we hold very abstract position where we hold real ground of our critic. It is manipulation. Maybe not often we find it, but it is really so absolutely always when we critique without offering. Okay, what I mean that how it work? Yes, how it work in formal and dialectic logic when we try compare to these ways of thinking. Okay, if we talk about formal logic, usually it is what? Uh, for example, something exists, and after that I talk. It is not exist. I negate it. Okay, no problem. It is not exist. Absolutely. What this formal way show us? Show only one. I find empty something without something another. It is abstract way where I see empty, yes, without something else. It is way of critique something without showing your real ground of your critique. Why you position so? Okay, you critic offer you real positive statements and claims. Show your position. Okay, it is formal way. But when we talk about dialectic way of thinking, according with this way, when I talk that something not exist, according with the dialectic, we must say that by this I state, it's my statement, yes, I state something another. If I talk about something negative, I talk about positive. You remember this situation, okay? In the first lecture, we integrate two vision in one. I see something what not exist. In the same moment, I transform it in another, and I see something what exists by this negation. It is way of thinking where we hold two controversial sides of something if we try to use this dialectical way. Okay, how it work in more complex example. How it work really in real, not conflict, but dispute, for example. Yes, we usually think it is ancient wisdom that in dispute the truth is born. You remember it, but it is not always so, because we know about another wisdom. In dispute, everyone only take roots in their own delusions. Of course, it's so, and our mistake we accept, and we not find it really. We not accept the knowledge and awareness of these delusions and mistakes. But when we find the first way, when we find the truth by these dispute, by these communication dialogue, where we have not dispute but real dialogue. Okay, it's very interesting, and I try to offer you to see on this scheme. Sorry, to this scheme. What we find here. Uh, we find here two positions, A and B. Position, two subjects. It is controversial. It is opposites and controversial positions. But it is not so simple how we usually think about this. We usually think that A and B, it is only different. It is negation without statement. Yes, it is not so. We think that it is conflict, only external conflict. Where we find here the unity? Where? Okay, but it is really so, because how it works if we talk, you remember, we try to find truth. Yes, how it works if we find the real essential conflict, magic conflict. One position, for example, B, consists from two elements. It is not simple like here. We must to separate inside this position like we do it here. In one side of this position, controversial position, it is something what I talk about another. I must say it. It is, of course, very simple scheme, but that's what abstract scheme. But nevertheless, it is principal scheme of working the dispute. Okay, what it means? Negatively, I talk about something in another position, but I'm really in this part. It is really what we usually find very evidential in our opinion, in our thesis and argumentation. Oh, see, it is not so really. It is a problem. It is not, it's mistake and problem, and not negation. Okay, negative. Okay, but what I talk about problem in position of my opponent. It is really so. Usually, if we talk about real essential conflict, essential dispute, when we talk about something on another position, we talk about shadow of the real position, what we find in dispute. It's very thin moment. I, like opponent, another subject, very good, very exact, see the shadow of the statement of the position my opponent. But usually, opponent not talk about the shadow of this position. For example, how it works. And another way, the same. Another way, the same. In my own position, like opponent, I have, okay, let be another, for example, let be so. Yes. Okay, let be so. I find, okay, and my opponent show me the shadow of my thesis, of my position, and show me real problems, my problems, affect the shadow what reflect my thesis. Here I find thesis B, and here of course thesis A. Yes. Okay, very important, and concentrate on my hands. Here we find the cycle. For example, me, I very good, exactly see, clear see the shadow of the thesis or position A. Shadow, it is something wrong, not good, yes, but it is another side of my thesis. And my opponent very good see the problem of my position, and he critique it. He talk about the shadow of my thesis. It's really conflict, and you remember how it was in China. Yes, it's very ancient symbol. Yes, we will use it in another lectures. Yes, and let me so. Yes, it's very close. But what very important now? It's important that the shadow, it is another side of the same thesis. What it means, for example, I talk position B, I'm atheist. Okay, very good. But it is only critique to another position where somebody talk about another. But really, I'm not talk about what positively I mean, because that when I talk that I'm atheist, it not mean that I'm not have another God. It mean only that I negate, deny the God in religion. But for me, my atheism can have another side. For example, I can believe in the human being, I can believe in the world, I can believe, and etc. It is little thing, but nevertheless, it is not concrete vision. I always show something one, and that's why I hold and cave, right? Save and not show something another. That's why the main goal, negative goal, of course, but nevertheless, main goal in situation of dispute to show this shadow, something what I hold and not show you. But when we talk about this situation, criticizing and offer, what it means in this more complex situation? It's mean when I critique in other position, I always must to show the ground of my own position. Because only in this moment, really, I open all sides from my position. And only by this, we really can show and find who really wrong and who right. Both sides of the coin. Only when we show one side and another, we can compare and find you wrong, you right. That's why it's a situation of real process where one position can accept another position. For example, position A will be right, B will be wrong. It means that we accept the content in position A. That's why we can say another like aphorism, yes? Right only that who not argue with another. Yes, it's a different aphorism, another idea. Who argue wrong, who not argue right. It means that I show only your own in my vision. I extract and open all opportunity, all essence of your position like my opponent. It means that I'm not argue with you. I have now any conflict with you. I only open you your own sides. That's why only in this position we show my position of my opponent like part in my own position. It means that I can open for the theory where we have a dispute both sides of opponent, and one side it's a part of mine, and another it's part of mine. I accept all elements of another position. That's why we will right. But it means that I'm not argue with you. I have no any conflict. I agree with you, and that's why I have a win in our dispute. Only by this we find truth. Only by that we find the essence of these theses where they criticizing you must offer. When I negate, I must state and offer something new. That's all. I hope it was useful, and I hope it was interesting for you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.